As shocking as this may sound, science has revealed that there is a demonic aspect to narcissism. It has admitted that you can actually see demons in people. But wait, before you jump out of joy and think, oh, now narcissism is going to get fully exposed. No, that's not going to happen. Because the disorder doesn't target the narcissist, it targets you. This interesting disorder is called demon face syndrome in simple terms, and in clinical terms, it's called prosopomorphopsia. When I said demon face syndrome, did you for a second think or assume that it's going to explain why a narcissist's face looks demonic towards the end of the relationship or when they rage? I thought so for some moments when I heard this thing, when I stumbled upon this syndrome. But when I researched and when I understood what it is all about, I was shocked. Why? Well, it's not about the narcissist, it's about you. Contrary to what you may think, it labels you as the crazy one. If you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist who may not have experienced narcissistic abuse and you tell them, doctor, I saw a demonic face in my husband, in my partner, in my wife towards the end of the relationship. What was that? Am I crazy? The doctor won't say, oh no, you're not. That was real, that's who they are. They will label you with demon face syndrome. They'll say you have a disorder, you have a mental illness, you are making up things, you are hallucinating, or you are experiencing a psychotic episode. Isn't that the ultimate victim blaming? You and I both know there is a demonic aspect to narcissism. It's not just me or you. Countless people have experienced it and said the same thing again and again and again. How can so many people have this disorder? And those people are from this population, survivors of narcissistic abuse. It's not like people from all walks of life. No, survivors of a special form of abuse. How can all it be a lie? To be honest with you, when I came across this disorder, I got worried. Why? Because I know what is going to happen to people in clinical settings. Nobody is going to listen to narcissistic abuse survivors. They'll be labeled crazy. Oh, you're making up things. There's something wrong with your head. But what about my other experiences? What about other people? Oh, they're crazy as well. That's how they'll get isolated further, which is the most unfortunate thing. I understood the motive because I kept asking myself, why? Why no further research? Well, the motive is to suppress the ongoing movement about narcissistic abuse, the spreading awareness. Almost all people know about the word narcissist in some way in the present times, and that is what they do not want to happen. You know who they are. I wouldn't be able to talk more about it. So it's just applicable to all other things. Labeling normal human tendencies and human condition in general as a disorder has been a trend. If you do a little bit of research and try to understand the history of Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, you will understand that things that used to be classified as disorders, let's say 10, 20 years ago, aren't disorders anymore. For example, autism spectrum. Now it is being seen as neurodivergence, a way of being, a different way of perceiving the world and interacting with it. Earlier, it was seen as a mental illness, which it is not. Same thing is applicable to demon face syndrome. It's not a mental illness, it's a real phenomenon. Instead of doing more research and trying to understand the nuances, these people who are in charge just decided that, okay, now we are going to label it as a problem and we are going to re-victimize these patients. This may surprise you, but in clinical settings, a lot of survivors of narcissistic abuse get misdiagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Why? Because they are extremely sensitive to abandonment, they are emotionally dysregulated, they are confused, and there are patterns that do not make sense to clinicians. So what do? They attach a label to them. And the most accurate label, in their opinion, is BPD. Having that said, one positive thing can come out of this demon face syndrome thing, which is the ultimate validation. I know it's twisted, but at least they're validating it in some way. That yes, you can see those black shark-like eyes. Yes, you can see reptilian people. Yes, there is something like that. They are not acknowledging it as a real thing, but they are acknowledging that people can sometimes see beyond the physical form of the person they are dealing with, which I guess is a good news. I think you should now feel relaxed, knowing that you saw something that was real. This should assure you and tell you that you did the right thing by leaving that person with no soul. And all those critics, all those people saying, oh, come on, if you say there is demonic aspect to narcissism, you are abdicating them of a responsibility and you are saying they have no role in playing what they do. Nobody said that. What we are saying is that those things influence their behavior. And it is the narcissist who chooses evil again and again and again because of their actions, making those demonic forces, those evil forces, live inside their heart. According to neuroscience, as long as you have your prefrontal cortex working, which is where all the decision making happens, where executive functioning happens, where you can think, understand, assess, and analyze. As long as it is intact in your brain, you can always change. You can always change how your limbic system works. So that is applicable to a narcissist as well. It's not like they don't have, this part and they're just only reacting. No, they're choosing to be that way because that serves them. They're choosing to be reactive. They're choosing to be rageful. They're choosing to be manipulative because it gets them things easily. They are continuously choosing easy over right. And that explains their demonic nature. If you are continuously making choices that align with dark forces, dark tetrad, evil forces, you are going to turn into one. And sometimes it gets so extreme that they're not able to contain it anymore. It oozes out. They become psychotic. Their face contorts and they show you who they are at their core. What do you think about this syndrome? How do you think it's going to impact people? Share your experiences in the comments below. Sharing my personal experiences with you, this reminds me of my grandfather mostly, who would talk to himself so loudly that it would seem he is talking to another person, and he would laugh. You would think that's a mental condition, but I can tell you he was into dark arts. How do I know so well? I have created so many episodes on this, but today I'll tell you one more time. He told me how he would separate a couple using a spell, and he even taught me the spell. It's that I didn't learn or use it, but he told me exactly what to say, what not to say, how to say it, what to do before saying it, what materials to use, and not just to destroy a relationship. And when I exposed him, when I told others that that is what he taught me, because I was very young back at the time, he stopped talking to me. He discarded me. He wouldn't even look at me because I told the truth. And there was an established history. People, relatives would tell me that he used to do this, he used to do that. He himself confessed to a lot of things. And here is a little surprise for you. His home was haunted by demonic spirits. Now, this critical part of mine says, oh, come on, is that even a thing? But how can I deny what I have seen with my own eyes, heard, and felt, experienced? And that's an entirely different thing, which probably I'll share in some other episode. But I'm telling you, I have experienced the demonic aspect that I talk about. It's just that when I got to know about, let's say, the Leviathan spirit, the other spirits, Jezebel, it made more sense because it's a Western concept or a Christian concept. So I like to mix concepts to see what comes out of it. And I can tell you, the foundation is the same. It's the same thing. And that same thing is they are all evil and they let these spirits possess them. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for staying with me. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.